Lab 12 has another opportunity for you to assess software style. So don't worry if you think the code from the other student has bugs, but focus on style. And my charge to you in this assessment is for you to pick up a few good techniques that you observed in other students.
And to do this assessment, we want you to again focus on three things: names, comments, and structure.
So an awesome name for a function would be one which lets you know what the function does just by looking at its name.
And the same goes with variable names. By looking at its name, you have to know what it is without having to stretch any further.
And you remember, good software is easy to understand, easy to debug, and easy to change. So when you write comments, I want you to focus on those three things. Does the comment make it easier to understand? Can it help you debug? And this issue of software maintenance is to take software written for one project and use that software, change it so it works in another similar project. So when you write comments, I want you to think about, does the comment make it easy to change?
So it's a good aid for evolution of your software. So in this lab, we want to also focus on structure. Structure here is primarily in terms of the interrupt service routine. If you think about your interrupt service routine, it runs periodically. So we have an 880 Hertz periodic interrupt. So it runs every 1.1 milliseconds. So if it runs once, it's going to run again 1.1 milliseconds later. Now think about the interrupt service routine. It's a piece of code that runs for a short period of time and then it runs again. So what we want you to think about is how much time is the interrupt service routine as a proportion of the total time that the interrupt the period takes. So a good number in this example would be 10 microseconds, which would be around 1% of the total time.
So examples of bad structure here in an interrupt service routine would be things that take a long time to execute, like outputting to the liquid crystal display, outputting to a UART. A delay function itself would be very bad. It's okay to have if then or if then else because those structures are very short and bounded. But if you find yourself using a do loop or a do while loop or a for loop, this may be bad structure.
And the same goes with calling functions. It's okay to call other functions, but try to keep those functions simple. And make sure that when you call these functions, again, they're bounded in time. So in summary, think of structure in the context of the interrupt service routine is to keep this time that the interrupt service routine small, because for the time that the interrupt service routine runs, the normal operation of your processor has been put on hold. So you want to limit this time.
So in summary, we want you to give full credit to a student's submission if you think it's a possible answer to Lab 12, but rather focus on giving positive feedback and helpful suggestions.
Be nice and you might learn something from this exercise.